is Entrepreneur 101, inspiring entrepreneurs to rise, innovate, and create lasting impact. Another week, another great episode. Entrepreneurship begins with self leadership. Oh,
Another great episode. Daniel, I'm looking forward to this topic.
Indeed. Last while ago, not last week, it's supposed to be last week, but a while ago we talked about something good to take the rest. People. And then after you take the rest, begins with the self-leadership. Is it not, Mr. Michael?
You said, is it enough?
Yeah, is it not that we need to begin with our self-leadership?
Absolutely, Daniel. How can we lead others until we first lead ourselves? I think the question, am I a leader? Some people don't see themselves necessarily as a leader. Truth is that I believe every person is a leader because we have to lead ourselves. Then the question becomes, where am I leading myself? Where am I leading others? In order to lead, right, we need to know where we're going. And that starts internally. That starts with ourselves. So this topic, I think we're going to be able to uncover some of those nuggets, some of those components to leadership that's going to help ourselves and those around us.
Definitely. So let's start with a clear distinction. In your experience, Mr. Michael, what is the critical non negotiable difference between self discipline and self leadership for an entrepreneur?
Self-discipline and self-leadership, I think, go hand in hand. A disciplined life, one philosopher said, is not worth living. An undisciplined life, he said, is not worth living. That's a pretty strong statement. I don't know if I'd go that far, but what I will say is I received the point that he was making. Discipline helps make life more worth living. Discipline gives us a formula, a blueprint, principles. It gives us structure. You think about growing up in the classroom, right? Great teachers knew something in the classroom. They knew that they needed to have a plan before you arrived. And once you arrive, a great teacher, a teacher of knowledge and understanding who wants to see their students grow, did their homework. They did their homework before they asked you to do your homework. And their homework, right, was to prepare for you to arrive into class. And they gave us a structure to thrive and to flourish, right? The lesson plan was already created. The handouts should have already been prepared. The lesson that they're going to need to teach, the questions that you might ask, they need to be prepared. And that takes discipline. That takes structure. And a child thrives often with structure. Adults, I believe, thrive with structure as well. So somebody may be saying, I want to take that risk, Mr. Michael and Mr. Daniel. But remember, we don't want to just take any old risk. You need to take your risk, a smart risk, a calculated risk, a purpose-driven risk, a risk that has your name on it. Then we build the discipline around it, right? What's the structures that I need to put into place in order for this idea to thrive and come to fruition? What do I need to work on within myself, my internal world, my mindset, my emotions, my choices, my surroundings, the people I connect with? Because at the end of the day, these type questions need to be answered if we're going to reach our goal to its fullest. Self-discipline, yes. Leadership, yes. Because other folks are not going to necessarily follow something or a person that they don't believe in. They need to see our disciplines at work. Yeah. So you can see, Daniel, I'm fired up on this topic today. I like this.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Mr. Michael. So the phrase entrepreneurship begins with that self leadership. So, yes, the first venture is the self. What does the business plan for leading oneself look like, and what are the key metrics?
Oh, I love that. I think it deals with our mental, our physical, our emotional, and our career health. When those, for lack of a better term, boxes are checked, and matter of fact, I'm going to pull that back because I don't think we just check those boxes. The truth of the matter is that we have to see our mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, career health as a journey, right? Personal growth has no finish line. Every day is an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and to learn about others. The body follows the mind, so we have to prep our mind for success. What are the intrusive thoughts? What are the limiting beliefs that would get in the way of my vision? When it comes to our emotions, am I emotionally prepared for the success I want to achieve? When it comes to our spiritual life, what are those parts of myself that I can't touch, right? My faith life, uh, the drive, the intuition, that part of ourselves that are intangible. With our career, right? And that ties into the entrepreneurship endeavor. Have I done my homework? Have I done my research? Have I put the time, the energy, the investment in, or the financial investment, time investment, the emotional investment? And once we get emotionally involved with our goal and put our heart and our mind and our soul into it, and we're prepared, I think that's a great blueprint for self leadership. I think that's one of the best business plans we can have. Because you can have a great business plan on paper, and it might not be worth the paper that is on if these other principles have not been adhered to. Don't get me wrong, a great business plan in writing can be phenomenal because it can give us metrics, it can give us tools, it can give us a rubric, right, to do our homework and research and test out the area that we're in and make us ask questions. This is a viable plan. So a business plan can be tremendous. But at the end of the day, it's about producing. And the production starts internal. Once we get our internal world more in order and more in sync, then the how tends to flow from that.
Before you can market a vision to others, Mr. Michael, you must believe it yourself, right? How does self leadership build the internal credibility and authority necessary to attract customers, investors, and a talent?
Belief, the power of belief in how that attracts others. That's a really good thought. Many years ago, a psychologist out of Harvard, William James, has been quoted as saying, believe, and your belief will create the facts. I think scripture puts it even better. Scripture says all things are possible to those who believe. It didn't say all things are possible to those who think or those who wish. And though that can be important, thinking and wishing. But at the end of the day, belief is it's a hard motivator to replace. You know, good things happen for those who believe. We talked about in previous episodes, right? When you truly believe, chances are you won't quit. When you really believe, that is attractive to others. It can cause others to believe. It can cause others to want to invest. So when we're investing in ourselves, that can become contagious. Other people want to invest as well. Their time, their talents, their treasures. What are you investing? What are you planting? What are you watering? What are you instilling? So all of that helps foster a healthy belief. Daniel, I'm a firm believer in life. We can choose. We can afford to lose some things. One thing I don't think we can afford to lose is our belief. Keep believing. Keep putting the work in. And that harvest, that seed will grow.
Speaking of belief, people, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Bible versus 101. And it's first season with my two amazing co hosts. They are giving their favorite verses every week. So please do listen. Bible verses 101. Let's talk about the inner game and mindset, Mr. Michael. A key part of self leadership is managing your own inner narrative. What are the most common disempowering stories aspiring entrepreneurs tell themselves, and what is the first shift they must make?
I think one of the most intrusive thoughts is, who am I to do this? Maybe you don't have the pedigree, maybe you don't have the background, maybe you don't have the family history, and maybe you have um, a feeling of, who am I to accomplish this? Or I don't have everything that it takes in order to achieve. But like we said earlier, if you have the dream, if you have the desire, that's proof that it needs to happen. So we need to deal with that limiting belief. And for some people, they need maybe some additional help to overcome that. Maybe a mentor, someone who can inspire them. Maybe they need more teaching, more education, more training. Maybe they need to take the risk and see how they do. So, who am I to do it? You're just the person to do it. That belief might need to be, it might need to have, it may need to go, may need to pull that belief out of the attic and knock the dust off of it. Maybe somebody's listening to us tonight, Daniel, and they had a dream or a vision for a long time. And maybe life has beat that dream out of them and convinced them that it's not for them. Listen, maybe you pull that dream out of the attic, knock the dust off of it. Invest again, believe again. Use the technology that we have access to help you along the way. Whether it's AI, whether it's, you know, going on to social media, connecting with someone who's already doing something similar to what you're doing. Maybe you need to take somebody out to lunch or to get a cup of coffee who's doing something that you'd like to do. Ask them some questions, learn from them. Go with a notepad, right? Study them. Because it's interesting, Daniel, the greats are gracious in many ways. So many people have reached success and they're just waiting for somebody to ask them, how did you get there? But oftentimes they haven't even been asked. Find somebody who's successful. Find somebody who's doing that inspires you, that motivates you. And they're not going to be perfect, right? The interviewer and the interviewee is not going to be perfect, but we can learn. Iron sharpens iron, so one sharpens another.
One of our viewers said that no pain, no gain. Virtual lab rats, thank you for always watching us live. Thank you for your support.
Thanks to all our listeners. That's right.
Yes, so
Someone just put
entrepreneurs.
in the chat. I like what one of our listeners just put into the chat, Daniel. They said, and I was
Mhm,
thinking about this as we were talking about it, imposter syndrome. Know that
mhm.
you're not an imposter. Know
Mhm.
that, again, if it's in you, it needs to get out of you. Imagine God saying, I want a return on my investment. I gave you the vision, I gave you the purpose. I'll help you with the plan, and I want a return on my investment. Don't make it just about you. Make it about those you serve, those you're gonna need to serve.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes, certainly. So entrepreneurship is a roller coaster, right, Mr. Michael? How does self leadership specifically equip someone to handle the emotional whiplash? A big win one day and then crushing setback the next.
I think it goes back to purpose. When you're tapped into your purpose, when you're locked into your calling, you're just gonna make up your mind. You're gonna stay on that roller coaster. I was listening to an athlete talk the other day. He was in an interview and he said, I didn't have a plan B. This was it. It was all or nothing. Now that's not might not be everybody's course of action. It's okay, right, for some to have a plan B. But when you lock into plan A, you stay on that roller coaster. Now you may need to take a break. You may need to recalibrate. You might need to adjust. You might have to retool. COVID, right? Many businesses had to retool, rethink, and prepare for that rainy day. When you're winning and you have great proceeds, plan for a day that might not be that way. So you might have to be a good saver. You have to be somebody who's locked in to say, I'm not in for the short run, I'm in for the long run. Yeah, equip yourself, be prepared as much as possible.
Be prepared, people. Be prepared. Get all your tools.
Great.
Many people become entrepreneurs seeking freedom from a boss. How do you help them navigate the irony and must now become far more demanding and compassionate boss to themselves?
Great question. So many people can relate to that, right? Maybe they're on their
Yes.
job and they have the sense of I'm getting tired of being told what to do, right? Or maybe you think, or you may feel like you know more than the person who's telling you what to do, right?
Yes.
So many of us, right, can relate to that. And no shade to supervisors, right? Some people have great supervisors, but I'm a firm believer that whether you're on a working a day job 9 to 5, you're not an entrepreneur, be your own biggest and best boss. Don't wait for a supervisor to have to tell you what to do, because at the end of the day, we get to ask ourselves a question: who do I work for? Do you work for your supervisor, or do you work for the mission? Your supervisor may leave. Are you still married to the mission? Then, when you take that into your entrepreneurial endeavor, you realize that the people you serve, your clients, your constituents, the people who may partner with you or that are investing in you, we realize that it's not just about, some people think about being a boss as going around telling people what to do. I think it's better to have more of a servant leader mentality. It's a really cool thing when you see the supervisor willing to sit and do the same things, as far as, uh, not too proud to pick up a piece of paper themselves off the floor. The people who, great leaders tend are great servants. And we understand hierarchy and respect and all of that. That has its place. But at the end of the day, when people believe in their supervisor, when they realize that everybody has a job to do, and your supervisor has a chances are has a supervisor as well, right? So if we're doing our job and handling our business, we're going to be in that. We should be okay in that department. And when it's time to step out into an entrepreneurial position, and you're the supervisor, how will you treat people then? Will you remember how you felt being under someone or under their leadership, if you will? Will you help create a culture or environment where there's a ladder to leadership? Great leaders, I believe, help raise other great leaders. So if you're an entrepreneur, who are you raising up? I've heard it put, Daniel, there's no lasting success without a successor. So who are you raising up? Who are you teaching to also become a leader? How are you teaching them to lead? How are we leading ourselves? If we'll lead with love, if we'll lead with discipline, if we'll lead with great customer service, if we'll lead with productivity, then whether you're in a traditional 9 to 5 or you started your own business, you show up to serve and you show up to deliver.
Yeah, Mr. Michael, indeed. And if a building entrepreneur come to you and said, I want to work on my self leadership before I launch, what is one piece of homework or journal prompt you will give them?
Great question. I would think deal with those big pillars. Where are you mentally? Are you mentally prepared for the challenges and the adversity that's going to come and the opportunities that's going to come? Do you have the physical stamina, the discipline, the principles, the right practices? Spiritually, are you in alignment with your goals and with your purpose? Have you built a supportive team that can help you reach your goals? There's and that is that says if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with others. Can you build a team? Can you help lead that team? Where are you taking that team? So, self leadership, deal with those pillars. Have the right precepts, have the right principles, and have the right plan. Yes.
Mr. Michael, once again, what again? Nice, empowering answer. I hope our listeners, viewers will empower through our episode for today. So, to wrap up, looking back, can you share a personal story of a breakdown that become a breakthrough in your own self leadership and how permanently changed your approach to your work and life?
I think about my work as a therapist and as a counselor, getting to see breakthroughs every day, getting to see people move from where they are to where they want to go, and being in a position to help others to do that. We go from breakdowns to build ups. So I encourage all of our listeners, if you're in a broken down state right now, prepare for the comeback, prepare for success and winning. Another great episode, Daniel. Thank you, Sarah, and also all our listeners. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for our listeners, viewers. We are so grateful. So, therefore, the most significant return on investment an entrepreneur can ever make is the time and courage invested in leading themselves first. For it's the one asset that appreciates through every challenge and multiplies into every aspect of their work and world. Mr. Michael, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you again. We're signing off. Peace. God bless.
Monica people, see you soon.